Brotato. In a sea of Vampire Survivor clones, Brotato sets itself apart by, well, essentially not doing anything different at all, except that what it does is freaking good. Like, really freaking good. Like, better than all other Vampire Survivor clones combined. Good. Characters? You got 50 of them. Weapons? 100. Abilities? 1,000. Items? 1 billion. And all of this right at the beginning of early access. If you somehow aren't familiar with the gameplay loop of Vampire Survivors and its derivatives, basically you are the bullet hell. Your goal is to survive a set amount of time or waves, taking out as many progressively more difficult enemies as you can while receiving upgrades out the booty. The main quirk, and why you see so many roguelikes of this style popping up, is that the only input the game needs from you is your movement. No shooting of guns and no casting of abilities is required. All you have to do is focus on not getting hit. But Woolie, that doesn't sound very fun if all you have to do is run away from Why don't you just go give it a shot yourself there, pal? Now, the reason why Brotato deserves a mention when, again, we've seen so many other games emulating the experience that Vampire Survivors already provides, is that Brotato focuses on the root of what makes Vampire Survivors successful. It's a roguelike. And what is the key component in a good roguelike? Replayability. Vampire Survivors didn't blow up simply because no shooting, only movement was such a novel concept. It's because it's a darn good roguelike with a simple gameplay loop and satisfying progression for a great price. Simple as that. I wonder. Brotato also understands that concept, whereas most other clones and roguelikes as a whole for that matter do not. In fact, I'm just gonna stop saying Vampire Survivor clones because I don't really feel like Vampire Survivors is its own genre of game. What we're seeing with it is that people are just chasing the overnight success and they're all just roguelikes when you boil them down. But enough about semantics, let's get back to Brotato. I mean, I kinda already made my case here, didn't I? It has a simple gameplay loop, survive as long as possible, with awesome progression. There are tons of different builds to try out at an absurdly good price, $5 Bam, there you go. In fact, the only complaint that I had after my first few hours of playing was, man, I wish I could keep going. The game just released into early access, so the developers have yet to implement an endless mode, so all of the runs stop at wave 20 for the time being. Regardless, Brotato's two biggest strengths are its items and its characters. The items are infinitely stackable, such as in Risk of Rain 2, and provide interesting build choices outside of menial stat increases. You definitely still have those stat stick items, plus damage, plus health and such, but almost every item's upside comes with a downside as well, giving much more weight to your choice given the context of your run. You may not immediately be able to pick up an item with a crazy positive, you'll need to find a way to mitigate its negative as well. Also, the only limit to the amount of items you can buy at a given time is how many materials, money, you have to spend. That's it. You want to save up all your mats to blow them all on 5 or 6 big upgrades in one go? You can do that. On top of that, all of the materials you gain from killing monsters are collected automatically for you at the end of each wave and stored in a bag. Think of it like getting a free loot magnet after every wave. The caveat is that you cannot actually spend the mats in your bag. You will first have to manually collect the equivalent amount to transfer it out. So you'll still have to maneuver around enemies and find windows to collect large heaps of mats at a time, else you won't have any to spend on upgrades in the first place. And just to show the attention to detail that this game has, while you have mats in your bag, any manually collected mats will have double the usual amount until your bag is empty. Maybe you got distracted and your bloodthirsty instincts took over and you just couldn't stop killing. Or maybe you just couldn't reach the big pile of resources that you created because the monsters were spawning faster than you could kill them. Regardless, Brotato asks, why should you have to spend tons of time focusing on picking up every last scrap or wait for a random drop to collect it all for you? And responds, you shouldn't. And the characters, man, I was genuinely surprised to see so many options that each play drastically different from one another, again, right at the start of early access. You've got Bull, who literally runs it down mid. You've got Pacifist, who says, I don't really feel like it. You've got a dude who can only use 1 weapon and a dude who can use 12. You've got, wait a second, 1 arm gets 1 weapon, but 2 gets 12? You've got Knight, who does all of this stuff. The list goes on and on. In total, there are 29 characters to choose from. That's all I really need to say on this game. It's $5, guys. Go give it a shot. Thanks for watching, and twitch.tv/WoolieGaming.